How to notarize a primary residence loan modification document as a Nevada notary. It is important to notice that these documents are specific to each lender and will definitely vary depending on the lender you are assisting as a notary. Another very dependent factor will be the borrower's scenario itself. If, for example, it is one borrower or two borrowers, or maybe even more than two borrowers, the page count for the package might be different. If, for example, the property is recorded in the borrower's individual names or under their living trust, the amount of notarization needed might also differ. So all these scenarios play a major role, so please be mindful of that. A quick disclaimer here. Anything shared here is for informational purposes only and may not be taken as legal advice. None of the information we will be sharing should either complement or replace our revised statute or any of our official training. So please check with the Secretary of State for any clarifications or concerns or questions you may have. Please keep in mind that all these information here are fictitious information, and therefore any resemblance with the real life properties, real life individuals, and or real life companies will simply be some pure coincidence. All right, let's begin. So here are the information provided for this loan modification at the time this order was assigned to you as a notary. So we have the address, the property address, the date and time this signing is supposed to occur. We have the signing location, which happens to be the same as the property address. We have the name of the individuals, okay, that I suppose who are supposed to sign the document, and a few more information about the loan itself. Okay, a FHA loan with the provided FHA case number, along with the loan number as it appears in the lender's book, and obviously the name of the lender, which is UC Bank. In this case, this loan modification is a total of 21 pages. Not all 21 pages will require signature and notarization. In fact, let's take a close look at all the different pages and let's figure out what needs to be signed and notarized. This sign-in was assigned to us by a sign-in service named Brightline Closings, and this particular sign-in service have the first 5 pages as instructions to us, the notary or sign-in agent or sign-in professional, or whichever terms you want to use, in regard to how the document need to be signed and notarized. So, as we can see here, it says that the below instructions are to follow, otherwise it will affect our payment. And they want the notary or the signing agent or signing professional to initials these lines. Scan back are mandatory and must be uploaded to the closed portal, which is a portal that is used to upload and download and print all the documents here. They want this to be done immediately following the signing so that they can proceed with the quality check review. Again, very important instructions here. You say do not ship without providing the scan back. Next instruction says do not use the borrower shipping label or the docs they have. And this is very common when it comes to the loan modifications document. Most of the time, or I should say almost all the time, the borrower are in direct contact with the lender and they would have received a copy of the loan modification. Sometimes it does even happen that they actually received the copy, went and met with a notary, but unfortunately the notarization was not done properly. The instructions were not followed because maybe they went to the closest UPS store or something, met with a notary that is not very familiar with real property documents and didn't notarize it properly, or sometimes they want two they want two copies technically of the set of the document to be notarized, but only one was notarized and sent back. So the point is that the borrower will have a copy of the loan modification package themselves. So this instruction here is technically saying not to use their copy, but the copy that you've been provided. Now again, this it varies and it depends on the scenario. Sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes the borrower are sent the document and are asked to go and find a notary themselves and have it notarized. So in those cases, obviously you're not going to have the document yourself, but you will simply just go and meet with the borrower. Or sometimes they send the document to the borrower and have the borrower print it out. However, they schedule the notary through a signing service, and again, you will go and meet with them and have the document notarized, and not printing any documents. It's only once you get there that you discover what the document is about and the package and all that. And again, it varies how they want to be shipped back. This one here, they want the signing agent or the notary to take care of everything technically. Print it out, go there, sign with them, notarize everything, and then scan back and ship it back. In other scenarios, they already have the document printed out. You go there, you notarize, and you let them ship back to the lender. In other scenario, they still gonna print it out, but you'll be asked to ship it back. So it really varies. So paying attention in reading instructions will be very key here. So not to use the shipping label in the borrower's possessions, and because that will delay the return of the document. And the lender will not accept any corrections once the document have been shipped. So for that reason, they saying here that it is very imperative to follow the instruction. They mentioned few common errors that they probably have experienced in the past. That would be my wild guess. And anything that is crossed out, they want it to be initialed. Make sure that the written commission expiration date matches the printed date on the stamp. This happens quite often when you are notarizing a document in the same month and sometimes even the same exact day as your expiration date. So let's say, for example, your commissions expires December 29, 2028, but you are notarizing the document December 29, 2023. So inadvertently, you may just write December 29, 2023, thinking you are writing down the signing date, which is correct. However, that was not what that line was calling for. It was asking for the commission expiration date, which would have been December 29, 2028. If the signer is absent from the signing, make sure the name is crossed out and initial in the notary section only. Never cross out a signature line of the absent signer. This is a very important. In fact, this is technically called a split signing. If you want to know more about the split signing and how to truly address it, please feel free to check out this other recording that I have on this. And again, a split signing, it technically should be very simple. And again, like I said, if you want to go into detail on that, check out the recording I have there. But it just does happen that sometime as a notary, some of us make the mistake thinking that, oh, okay, I cannot leave the signature line blank because somebody else might come back and sign it and make it seems like I was the one who notarized the document. Even though that is a very valid point, unfortunately, we cannot do that. If you want to know exactly what to do, like I said, check the other recording. I'm not going to go into too much details on that one. So all borrowers' dates and notary dates need to match. So essentially, they want the signer to sign in dates right in front of the notary. In other words, that's technically what that means. They also want the notary and everyone else, the signer, to make sure that they are respecting the margin requirements, and that this is usually a recording. Yes, like he said there, this is a requirement for recording, for the document to be recorded at the county. So once you initial all those lines, they want on the very last, at the very bottom of the page here, that you acknowledge that you will comply with all of the above. These 3 lines are a little confusing to me personally, but what I usually do with this, I sign on the first line, print my name on the second, and then initial again on the last line. Well, I'm not sure if that's what they're calling for, but it was completely empty. And general instruction, again, further instruction, they want you to attend the appointment regardless of confirming with the borrower. Technically, we usually call the borrower and confirm with them the appointment date and time. Make sure that everybody's on the same page and we'll be meeting. This particular signing service, Bright Line Closings, want you to attend the meeting regardless. Everything needs to be signed in black ink only. Scan back as required. One more time, they mentioned that here. Same copies, same day, and the copies can be either mailed, either emailed to that email address, or just use the closed portal. The signer may say they have already signed this. Disregard that. Your signing is a new one and a valid signing, so the lender requested the document to be signed. Again, we don't know what may prompt the lender to do that, so we just go ahead and execute the document and send it back. Make sure the signer sign everything. If the signer decides not to sign anything for any reasons, or the signer is not present, they want you to contact by email or phone numbers before leaving the signing. The signer, they want the signer to show the signer should sign as his name or her name is written below the signature line. This is another tricky one, but we just need to make sure that we are doing things properly. That's all I can say about this one for now. I have some more recording about the signature and signature name as well that you may check it out. So here we have examples. The way that they want the person to sign. The person's name is Jane Smith. They want this person to sign Jane Smith. Jane Smith, aka Jane Cooper. They want it to be signed exactly as such. And if it is on a state signing requirement, they have some more instructions. And again, like I said, this is from a signing service, and it seems like they have several clients. One that is called Mr. Copper, and I believe some other one as well. So they give instruction what Mr. Copper wants the notaries, or how they want the signer to sign. If he was signed, if it was on ex-date signing. And then they went a little further in detail on witness signature requirement. If you belong in any of those states, or if the property actually is located in any of those states, they want the notary to follow those specific rules and the shipping requirements. So they want you to ship the document only after scan back are sent, and they again re-emphasize on the fact that the borrower label shouldn't be used, but the one that is provided in the set document they provide you, and you print it out. Signed document must be shipped the same day, and all this information. For any questions, they provided the phone number. Alrighty. And then they mention again some common errors examples. For example, it says Jane Doe, and the date. This is what we were talking about initially, the commission date, the written commission date. It says 1/20/23, which instead was supposed to be 1/20/28, I believe. It goes further in detail, state of, county of. Somebody missed writing down the county in which the signing was conducted, and another missing mistake. The date the notarization was conducted should have always been written in the notarial verbiage as a requirement for us Nevada notaries. So somebody missed that date as well. And again, the margin, they give some visuals of the margin here. So for the date, those line may be a little too small. My suggestion to them is to check back with whomever prepared this document and maybe slightly push the date to the left. That may be a little more helpful, because some folks just write how am I gonna say, they can write a little big, so for that reason that line might be a little too small for them to write on it. But again, they're given a visual here of how they don't want this to be executed. So make sure you give instruction to your signer and say, hey, please, do your best and fit the year on the line. And again, I tend to do the same thing. Ask them to do the 4 digit for the year every single time. Some more requirements, well, not really requirement. These are just instructions on what the margins are when it comes to these dates. And then we have the very first page of the lender document, and this is as we started, I mentioned that this is a loan modification. Yes, sometimes you may see or hear partial claim. They basically are two terms that are used interchangeably to mean the same thing. So the loan modification, partial claim, they technically mean the same thing. Loan modification agreement, partial claim agreement, those are the terms that you may see. Again, this is a cover letter, and again, the cover letters, the signing instructions, and then it goes into detail of all the documents that they have in the package here, and they want to be executed. The partial claim subordinate security instrument, which is technically going to be the deed of trust, and the partial claim subordinate note, and also another page for corrections document. Again, this is the partial claim options, letting them know how this is going to go and providing them the numbers for this loan and the modifications. And yes, this is the cover letter. It goes into detail and show everything that they need, providing information on how they can contact the lender. And the cash amount includes the regular monthly payment amount and any additional amounts. And then now this is the instructions from the lender on how they want us to be executed as well. So I will quickly go through this, but keep in mind that they will be very, very similar to the instruction that we first saw, because the instructions that we went over in the first place, those were given to us by the signing service. Obviously, the signing service just follow the instructions that are given to them as well from the lender, so that's why they will be very similar. So here they broke down the instructions in two parts. What are the requirements from the mortgager, which actually is also the borrower in this case, and also the requirement from the notaries. For the mortgager or the signer or the borrower, they want all signature to be signed in black only. The document cannot have a white out to correct error, to make any error, to make any correction, a line through, a simple single line through, and correcting what need to be corrected, and then initials. In fact, this one is actually okay. I actually take it back. This one said the document cannot have a whiteout to correct errors, and if an error is made, please contact your relationship manager to discuss next step. I mean, I'm assuming they saying that to the signer, but I'm probably sure that depending on the error, a single line through and correcting, and an initial should be all fine. All signature may be signed exactly as they're printed on the document. For example, if it says John D. Doe, must sign as John D. Doe, and it will not be accepted as a John Doe without the middle initial appearing in the signature. Again, this is a case-by-case scenario because some folks' signature is a very illegible. It's completely a scribble. In those cases, I don't think there's much issue with that. It's only when the signature is more legible, like the person literally writing in cursive, and you can literally read through the name, that this is actually even much more critical. I've even have scenarios where the signer's signature was not that legible, but the person, it's very similar. Let's say the person's name was John D. Doe, right? The way that this signer was signing, it was almost as if this signer was only signing their first and last name. You could tell that the first letter of those two words was very distinctive, and you can kind of like start in by reading that the first one is a J and the second word, the beginning word, is D. However, the remaining of those two words was kind of like illegible, right? So in those cases, I tell them, hey, do you mind inserting your middle initial just in between those two, just to make it, just to show that actually it is signed as John D. Doe and not just John Doe, which may become an issue. All right. And this document must be signed in presence of a notary public. Again, remember, we are going over the instruction for the signer or the mortgager. All signature date, including the notary signature date, must match. Do not sign or mark up any section that are to be completed by UC Bank. Again, make sure you're not signing in where the lender is supposed to sign. And if your modification document requires a signature by a witness, the witness must not be a party of this transaction. Please refer to your modification agreement if the witness is required and if more than one witness needs to be signed. And the witness scenario is also a very, I would say, a case-by-case scenario. Here in Nevada, as a notary, we are actually required. I mean, it is the law not to be part of, not to be, if we are listed in the document, we should not be a notary as well in the same document. That's what the law is saying. I mean, in a nutshell, I'm trying to paraphrase here. So for that reason, you may need to avoid being a notary and a witness at the same time in the document. Just find somebody else to do it. It's much easier. Not only the law required it, but also as a best practice is much easier. You may actually even ask a fellow notary to kind of like be a witness for you if that's possible. If any of the vested owners are deceased, we must have a copy of the death certificate. If not already provided, you are signing as a power of attorney. You must return the executed loan modification agreement with either a recorded copy of the power of attorney or original notarized power of attorney. Any co-borrower or signer on the original security instrument must not, but not on the promissory note, must provide a copy of recorded quitclaim deed, evidencing that the vacating party has relinquished all rights to the property. This pertains to any one related or unrelated by marriage, civil union, or similar domestic partnership that has vacated the property in absence of that party's signature. For mortgages secured by a property owned by an eligible inter vivo trust, this is the living trust technically, the document must be prepared and signed as such in both the trust name and the individual's name. Remember at the very beginning I was mentioning that the set of document will vary depending on the scenario. And this is one of a prime example of what I mentioned earlier. If it is signing on their living trust, or if it is signing their individual names, then it will the set of document will vary and will account for that. That's what it means. And then we go into the notary requirement. The notary must sign in black only. The signature must be signed exactly as it appears on the notary stamp. The signature must be signed the same day as the borrower execution. So make sure everything is happening contemporaneously, both at the same time together. And then please ensure all portion of the notary section are completed for borrower signature only. This is another very interesting the requirement here. It does happen that from time to time we may either not know exactly what we're supposed to do, or maybe we just make a mistake. And if you want to take a look at how to properly complete the notarial certificate, I also have another recording here, and you may check it out. If the provided form of identification is either a social security card or a driver license, please do not list a social security or driver license number within the document. Notary stamp must be legible. The stamp must not appear too thick, too light, smeared, or illegible in order for the county to record the modification agreement. If you, the notary, do not have a seal or stamp, then the serial number must be provided within the content of your acknowledgement, or a copy of the certification of the notary must be provided. All notary stamp must appear on the borrower acknowledgement page and cannot be placed above the borrower acknowledgement section. The notary stamp cannot be placed on any verbiage or signature. And it goes into detail on some requirement from Louisiana notaries and California notaries. Louisiana notaries bid notary for life, and some California notaries with the notary public mentioned right after the name. And then now we get into the first document that needs to be executed, which is actually the partial claim deed of trust, or as we saw earlier, they used the term the security instrument. So it is the same thing. Partial claim deed of trust, partial claim security instrument, they're both the same. The security instrument is a more generic term, because some states don't do deed of trust, they only do mortgage. So it really varies and depends. So here we have our partial claim deed of trust. This is about 6 pages long. It goes into detail. The name of the person's, or I should say the borrower, whether it is borrower and non-borrower, spouse, or co-borrower. It goes into detail, property address, and technically addresses all that it is that the loan modification is pertained to. Okay, the borrower covenant, the security instruments, combines uniform covenant for national use and non-uniform covenant, limited variation jurisdictions, the uniform covenants, the payment of the principal, forbearance by lender, not a waiver, the notices, the government law severability, and the borrower's copy. The borrower shall be given one formed copy of the notes of this security instrument, the remedies, notice default, power of sale, notice of sale, sale of the property, page 5, trustee deeds, security remedies, reconvenience, substitute trustee, attorneys, and other fees. And then on page 6 here, which is the very last page of this partial claim deed of trust, we have the signature line. So by signing below, borrower accepts and agrees to the terms contained in this security instrument and in any writers signed by borrower and recorded with it. So we have the borrower, Rick Riggs, sign and date, and Mary Riggs sign and date, and then we go ahead and notarize for that. We will go later on how to truly execute those. And then the next page, which is the subordinate note. I mentioned the FHA case number, the property address, the parties that it involve. Essentially, this is a promissory note. The borrower promising to pay back what they still owe. Because again, remember, this is a loan modification, because technically what it means that the borrower fell back in the payment. So They're trying to catch up now and modify the lien. Promise to pay secured the matter of payment, the maturity August 1st, 2051, and the place where the payment shall be made. The borrower's right to prepay without penalties. The waiver's obligation of person under this note. Only the person under the note is technically liable for the debt, severability, and then since the Rick Riggs is the only one on the note, he is the one liable to the debt, as I mentioned earlier. So not Mary Rigg, which is his wife. So Rick Riggs will sign and date the subordinate note, and then the very last page of the document, which is the document correction agreement. So this is a simple agreement between the borrowers and the lender to correct any misstated document and to provide additional documentation. So for whatever reason, the documents might be lost during, in transit. It might be misplaced. Whatever the case, the lender may feel, the lender may feel the need to either have them re-sign some document. Resign the entire set or re-sign some of the document. So for those reasons, essentially, this document is saying that they agree to do that for them in a timely manner. As you can see here at the bottom, the borrowers agreed to deliver the replacement document within 10 days after receipt of the borrower, after receipt by the borrower of a written request for such replacement. So the borrower not only agreed, but they agreed to do this in a very timely manner for the lender. And obviously, the lender has to address the request to the borrower prior to all this happening in the borrower liability, and then it goes back again and have them sign in date. So this is page number 20, as I was mentioning earlier, and not the very last one, but the last one will be the shipping label page. Essentially, that's the shipping label for us to use and send back the documents. Alrighty, so, and those will be the 21 pages in this package. Alright, so now let's quickly go back and look at the mainly, I will say in these 21 pages, we only have to interact. Technically, what I mean by that, it's both the borrower and the notary are signing, dating, and have things notarized on 3 different pages out of these 21 pages. So now let's quickly go back to those individual 3 pages and take a quick look on how we can have those pages signed and notarized. So here are technically the 3 pages that we need to sign and notarize the document. Again, the very first one will be the very last page for the partial claim deed of trust. The second one will be the second page of the subordinate note. And the third page would be obviously the document correction agreement page. So when we go to the bottom of the last page of the deed, essentially, Rick Riggs will sign and date to the right, and Mary Riggs will also sign and date to the right. This happened at December 29, 2023. As you can notice, you will notice that Mary was able to fit the year, all 4 digit on the line, and not so much with Rick. And again, this is done on purpose just to show you how it may look like, just to be mindful of that and try to let them know. And maybe make sure you have 2 pages of this last page of the deed of trust printed. That way, when you tell them and they still don't manage to do it on the line, you give them a spare copy to have it signed properly, basically, so that everything is done according to the requirement from the lender and not leaving room for any kind of like errors or mistake that will need to be fixed later. And now is the turn of the notary. Again, this is the state of Nevada. This was happening in the county of Nye. This instrument was acknowledged before me on December 29, 2023 by Rick's Rigg and Mary Riggs. Obviously, if only Rick's was the one appearing before this notary, or if it was only Mary that was appearing before this notary and not the other signer, you will line through the person that did not appear before you here and initial it and proceed with your notarization. However, what you won't do, if we go back one step here, what you won't do is line through the name of the signer here on the signature line. So essentially you will leave the signature line alone along with the name. So let's say only Bricks was the one who appeared, then Mary's line will be completely blank along with the date for Mary, and Mary's name underneath the signature will be left alone as well. Do not cross through that again. If you want a detailed explanation of how to do that, check out the other recording that I have on split signing. So we go ahead, this new notary then sign their name, print their name, and the commission expiration date. And we stamp to the left here, right below where it says seal, if any. The stamp is also the seal for the notary. And that's actually the only notarization that is required in this document. The second document that will need to be signed by the borrower is a subordinate note. And since Mr. Rick Riggs is the only one who is being held liable for the debt, he is going to be the only one signing the subordinate note, sign and date to the right. And then the last copy that need to be executed was the document correction agreement form, and at the very bottom of the page, as you can see, both signers are signing here. Rick Riggs is signed and date to the right, and Mary Riggs signed and date to the right. Yes, and that's about it, easy peasy. So again, this is what a loan modification document may look like, and obviously, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, they vary depending on the lender, depending on whom they contracted with to prepare this document for them, depending also on the borrower's side of the scenario. Is it just the borrower? Is it the borrower and a co-borrower? Is it the borrower and a non-borrower spouse? Is it all these documents signed in their individual names? Are they signing in the living trust, also known as the inter vivo trust? So all those play a major role in how everything is executed. Well, if you want a sample of all these documents to practice on your own, there is a link at the bottom. Please feel free to click on the link. It is completely free. However, it will require you to enter your best email address where you can be reached out, and will either send it to your email or allow you to download it. Alrighty.